Why do I treat the Bible as history? Because again and again, archaeology and ancient inscriptions and ancient records line up with the biblical storyline. Today I'll show you 9 reasons to believe the Bible, each backed by discoveries you can look up yourself. In this episode, we will look at 9 reasons I believe in the Bible as history. Many scholars dismiss the Bible's stories because of the miraculous elements, but archaeology has verified scores of incidents and personalities from the Bible. In fact, no archaeological discovery has ever disproven what the Bible says. Some discoveries have caused us to change our understanding of events in the Bible, but no discovery has ever disproven the Bible. That's remarkable when you think about it, because the default position of secular scholarship is that the more information from the past comes to light, the more the Bible will be discredited. But the reality is just the opposite. Of course, archaeology is only one way of verifying the Bible. There are other methods, like the statements of secular historians, linguistic evidence, and more. And not all the Bible is history. Obviously, the Bible is composed of 66 documents, often called books, of a variety of genres besides history, including poetry and song, letters, law, and prophecy. But archaeology is the discipline most likely to verify the historical elements of the Bible. Christians who are familiar with King David and his exploits may be surprised to learn that until very recently, some scholars regarded him as a mythical character invented to bolster Jewish nationalism. They could say that because no ancient documents outside the Bible had confirmed the existence of King David until 1993, just a little over 30 years ago. In 1993, archaeologists in northern Israel uncovered an inscription that shook the scholarly world, the Tel Dan Stele, which was written in Aramaic, the language of ancient Syria. It is called the Tel Dan Stele because it is a stele, an engraved stone, and it was discovered at Tel Dan in northern Israel. It mentions both the House of David and the King of Israel, treating them as distinct dynasties, just like the Bible does after the split of the United Monarchy. The reference to the House of David and the King of Israel is an important proof not just of the existence of King David, but it is confirmation of what the Bible says about every king of the southern kingdom of Judah being a descendant of King David, whereas the northern kingdom did not have a family dynasty of kings longer than a couple of generations. The royal family in Israel changed every few years. This stele is the first widely accepted archaeological reference to King David, placing his dynasty firmly in history, not legend. I've talked about this discovery before in this video. So the Tel Dan Stele is the first reason I treat the Bible as history. If you've seen my other videos, you know I'm writing a series of novels called Age of the Kingdom. 3 novels are available now, and each of them have won the gold medal in adult fiction from Christian Book Awards. The 3 novels cover the period prior to King Saul's reign through the middle of King David's reign. The last half of David's reign will be in the 4th novel, Children of the King. So that's why the Tel Dan Stele is my first reason, because it bears directly on my novel series. The second reason is also important to me in writing the Age of the Kingdom novels. Jerusalem's city of David has been excavated for over a century, but the last few decades have been extraordinary. At the summit, archaeologist Eilat Mazar uncovered what she called the large stone structure, which many identify as a royal palace from David's time. They even found a Phoenician capital, confirming what the Bible says about Hiram of Tyre proving materials and workmen for David's palace. Based on the research, I created the image of David's palace that is on the cover of the 3rd novel in my series, The Eternal Kingdom. Below David's palace runs the stepped stone structure, often identified with the biblical Millo, a massive terraced support described in 2 Samuel 5. In the Ophel, south of the Temple Mount, excavations revealed first temple fortifications and administrative remains. In 2004, workers repairing a sewer line stumbled onto monumental steps of the Pool of Siloam, the second temple period pool mentioned in John 9 where Jesus healed the blind man, and in 2019, a bulla or seal stamped belonging to Nathan Melech, servant of the king, a name we see in 2 Kings 23:11, surfaced in a building burnt in 586 BCE. Together, these finds show Jerusalem was a major complex urban center in the Iron Age, consistent with the biblical account. Many skeptical scholars have tried to say that there was no large important kingdom in the land of Israel before the Babylonian captivity. So, in just the last 30-plus years, we've gone from scholars saying King David never existed to having proof of his dynasty and actually finding his palace. Of course, some scholars still dispute the interpretation of these findings. Some will never admit that the Bible has been verified because the Bible contains miracles and they don't believe. With each discovery that confirms some aspect of the Bible, they simply move the goalposts so they can continue to disbelieve. For years prior to the 20th century, critics said the Hittites of the Bible were mythic or misremembered because nothing had been discovered about them in either ancient writings or archaeological discoveries, yet being the operative word. But in 1906, archaeologist Hugo Winckler excavated Hattusa in modern Turkey and unearthed thousands of cuneiform tablets, royal treaties, annals, and correspondence, proving the existence of a powerful Hittite empire that interacted with Egypt and the Levant. The Bible's references to Hittites, like Joshua 11:3, fit within this well-documented geopolitical world. Of course, King David interacted with Hittites as well. In the darkest episode of his life, he took Bathsheba, the wife of Uriah the Hittite, and arranged for Uriah to be killed in battle. That story is in the third novel of my series, The Eternal Kingdom. So, with the discovery of the Hittite capital and the Tel Dan Stele, which verified the Davidic dynasty, two aspects of that story have been confirmed. Shiloh served as Israel's central worship site for hundreds of years before the temple was built in Jerusalem. Shiloh is center stage in the opening chapters of Quest for a King. Excavations at Tel Shiloh have revealed cultic installations, large storage jars, animal remains, and pottery from the Late Bronze and Iron Age, consistent with a significant ritual center in the Judges and early monarchy periods. While archaeologists debate exact identifications of structures, the material culture strongly supports a major religious hub at the time the Bible describes. It appears from the excavation that Shiloh was destroyed by fire about the time the Bible says the Philistines defeated the Israelites and captured the Ark of the Covenant, and this agrees with statements made about Shiloh being a ruin by the prophet Jeremiah. It is significant that after the Battle of Ebenezer, which I write about in Quest for a King, nothing is said about Shiloh again. This one is controversial, and the last chapter is yet to be written. For many years, scholars doubted that the exodus of the children of Israel from Egypt really happened. Of course, there are many miraculous events in the story, so that gives them an excuse, but for a long time, there didn't seem to be any evidence that 2 million Israelites spent 40 years in the Sinai desert. But that may be because the place was misidentified. In the Bible, it says that after killing an Egyptian, Moses fled Egypt and went to Midian, where he married into the family of Jethro, a priest of Midian. In recent years, it has been established that Midian was not in what became known as the Sinai Peninsula, but in northern Arabia. Recently, and on northwest Saudi Arabia, researchers and explorers have documented altars, stone features, and petroglyphs near sites some identify with the biblical Sinai and related stations. There's even a mountain that appears to be scorched on the top, fitting what the Bible says about God's presence. Because access has often been restricted by the Saudi government, systematic excavation and peer review are limited, which means the claims remain provisional. Even so, the geography and archaeology of northwest Arabia increasingly reveal a densely inhabited ancient landscape, evidence missing on the Sinai Peninsula, fueling ongoing discussions about route locations and Sinai's exact site. The Bible says that after 40 years of wandering in the wilderness, the children of Israel crossed the Jordan River to enter Canaan under the leadership of Joshua. The Bible tells us Jericho was the first city to fall, and every child learns in Sunday school about the walls of Jericho falling down. Surely that story is mythological, right? Well, maybe not. Excavations at Jericho, or Tel Dan Stele, revealed impressive fortifications, evidence of collapsed walls and destruction layers. The precise dating of the destruction relative to Joshua 6 is hotly debated. Kathleen Kenyon argued for a destruction earlier than most biblical chronologies. Other scholars have proposed revised dates. Even within the debates, the archaeological reality is a fortified city with a dramatic destruction episode in the Late Bronze, Early Iron horizon, exactly the kind of site the biblical account presupposes. While we can't claim this is proven yet, there's that word yet again. Future discoveries may throw more light, and what's been discovered so far doesn't disprove what the Bible says. During the 19th century, secular scholars maintained that the book of Daniel in the Bible was in error because it said Belshazzar was king of Babylon at the time of the fall of the empire to the Persians, but secular history was clear that Nabonidus, son of Nebuchadnezzar, was the last king of Babylon. Then the Nabonidus cylinder was discovered by the British archaeologist Robert Koldewey in 1899 during his excavations at Babylon. Koldewey's work was instrumental in uncovering many significant artifacts from the ancient city, including the famous Ishtar Gate and the processional way. The cylinder is inscribed with the writings of Nabonidus, who was the last king of Babylon before the Persian conquest. It mentions his son Belshazzar explicitly, confirming his role as a co-regent during Nabonidus's reign. The cylinder indicates that Nabonidus spent a significant amount of time away from Babylon, leaving Belshazzar in charge in the city. So Nabonidus and Belshazzar ruled at the same time. This aligns with the biblical account in the book of Daniel, where Belshazzar is depicted as the king during the fall of Babylon. So once again, the Bible was vindicated, and it turned out proof of the Bible's veracity just hadn't been discovered yet. Another discovery that is debated, but time may show it is proof of the biblical record, is the Amarna letters. The Amarna letters are a cache of diplomatic tablets from around 1350 BCE in ancient Egypt. Canaanite rulers wrote these letters to the Egyptian pharaoh complaining about attacks from groups they call the Habiru or Apiru. Some scholars see a link to Hebrews, while others caution that Habiru refers broadly to stateless, mobile groups. Either way, the letters show upheaval in Canaan during a period the Bible associates with Joshua's conquest of the land. The fit in timing and context is striking, even if the exact identification remains debated. Finally, the Merneptah stele, carved around 1208 BCE in Egypt, includes the line, "Israel is laid waste, his seed is not." That's the earliest extra-biblical reference to Israel, exactly where and when the Bible says Israel was present. For years, some scholars insisted that Israel didn't really exist as a nation until after the Babylonian and Persian captivity, but the Merneptah inscription proves that Israel already existed in the Levant by the late 13th, early 12th century BCE, as much as 1,000 years earlier. So that's the list of 9 reasons. Do these discoveries prove every verse of the Bible? Of course not, but they show the Bible is anchored in real places, real people, and real events. Inscriptions, cities, tablets, pools, and seals. Each point adds weight. That's why I treat the Bible as history. And for those who don't believe in the Bible because they don't believe in miracle stories, how long can that continue when archaeology continues confirming the non-miraculous events recorded in the Bible? At what point must they confront the possibility that there is a God who has acted in human history? That's all for this episode, but there are many more archaeological discoveries that confirm the Bible. Next time, I want to give you 9 more reasons to believe the Bible is history, including New Testament proofs, so like this video, subscribe to my channel, and click the bell to be notified when new videos come out.